October 9, 1835, when a boy born in the city of Paris, Charles Camille Saint-Saens, also called Camille Saint-Saens, the only child of Jacques Joseph Victor Saint-Saens and Francois Clemence Nicoline. Victor Saint-Saens was of normal ancestry and his wife was from Haute family. Camille Saint-Saens was born during the 6th arrondissement of Paris and baptized at the nearby church of Saint Sulpice.
Less than 2 months after the christening, Victor Saint-Saens died of the cancer tuberculosis. When his father died, the young Camille was taken to the country for the sake of his health and for 2 years lived with a nurse at Corbeil. After 2 months, Camille was brought back to Paris and he stayed with his mother and his widowed aunt Charlotte Masson, a child prodigy whose mother and aunt began teaching him piano at the only age of 2. And by the age of 3, he was already composing his own works. Furthermore, by age 10, he was performing concertos. Aside from being outstanding pianist, he was also amateur scientist, a poet, an essayist, a dramatist who showed interest in other subjects such as philosophy, geology, botany, and archaeology. In addition to his musical prowess, he distinguished himself in the study of French literature, Latin and Greek, divinity, and mathematics. He was also composing, performing, and writing musical criticism. He held discussions with Europe's finest scientists and wrote scholarly articles on acoustics, occult sciences, Roman theater decoration, and ancient instruments.
In 1848, at the age of 13, Saint-Saens was admitted to the Paris Conservatory Provost Music Academy. Saint-Saens won many top prizes. The recognition this award garnered him resulted in his introduction to Franz Liszt, who became one of his closest friends. At the age of 16, Saint-Saens wrote his first symphony. It was performed in 1853 to astonishment of many critics and fellow composer Hector Berlioz, who became one of Saens' good friends. Famously commented, he knows everything but lacks experience.
For income, Saint-Saens worked playing the organ of various churches in Paris. In 1857, he was appointed organist at the Madeleine Church in Paris, a position which he held for 20 years. Fellow composers Franz Liszt said the Saint-Saens was the greatest composer in the world after hearing him improvise.
Saint-Saens assembled a very large library of musical compositions toward his career, which included choral and keyboard works, symphonic phones including Dance, Macabora, and Carnival of Animals, incidental music such as Samson and Delilah, symphonies, and concertos.
In 1875, Saint-Saens married Marie-Laure and Surfot, and they had 2 children, André and Jean Francois, who died within 6 weeks of each other in 1878. 3 years later, Saint-Saens left his wife. The two never divorced, but lived the rest of their lives apart from one another.
But he also remained very close to his mother, who had opposed his marriage. When she died in 1888, Camille Saint-Saens fell into a deep depression. Even contemplating suicide for a time, he did much travel in the years that followed and development and interest in Algeria and Egypt, which eventually inspired him to write Africa, 1891, and his piano concerto No. 5, The Egyptian. He also turned out works unrelated to exotic places, such as his places and most enduring serious composition, The Symphony Number 3.
Saint-Saëns continued to write on musical, scientific, and historical topics. Frequently, before spending his last years in Algeria, in recognition of his accomplishments, the government of France awarded him the Legion of Honor.
Camille Saint-Saëns is one of the most greatest composers in the Romantic era.
In the last 2 decades of his life, he remained attached to his dog and he largely a loner.
At the age of 86, Camille Saint-Saëns died of pneumonia on December 16, 1921 at the Hotel de Oasis in Algiers, Algeria. His body was brought back to Paris for a statue funeral at Église de la Madeleine and was buried at the Cimetière du Montparnasse in Paris.
Although Camille Saint-Saëns was died, his story in Romantic period will never be forgotten.